Welcome to the Brutiful Game. As always, I'm Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
And on tonight's episode of the Brutiful Game, Ivan Toney, you can bet he's back. Yes, he is, buddy. Back at Brentford. Nets won on his return after 8 months. But should it have counted? Lot of, he started off strong with some good old classic housery. Less than a minute in, Ron. That's for you.
Yeah.
45 seconds in.
Love it.
Arsenal return to winning ways as they smash Palace's Crystal as banners not in favor of Roy Hodgson show up in the away end. And then we'll recap the other three matches of the Premier League weekend in our 2-minute drill, which will almost be 2 minutes because it's not that many matches. Then for Footy Break, we'll blow the halftime whistle as the accounting guru of the gnocchi and the point deductor of the pig, Ron, shares with us some beer news to get our mind off of soccer for a bit. Finally, we'll close out the pod with the La Liga's roundup.
Thank you.
On satellite delay.
I wish there was a sound effect for the what is it? The birds chirp? Not the birds chirp.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of
Crickets.
crickets. Yeah.
It's because I was looking at other things.
But first, let's do our beer, shall we? What do you have, gentlemen?
All right. So, before I, in a previous life, when I worked in the film industry, I had done a lot of stunt work and special effects work for movies. And a friend of mine who lives in the current film capital of Atlanta, Georgia, got me a beer that he thought was pretty fantastic from a local Atlanta brewery called Wild Leap. This brewery, two beer impassioned friends and a talented brewer took the leap of faith, or quote, wild leap, to open their own brewery. They all left behind successful and comfortable careers to go out on the ledge and start a craft brewery in 2017. That's when Wild Leap officially opened its doors in LaGrange, Georgia, which is right near Atlanta. So these guys have a passion for crazy good and crazy weird beers. They were rewarded in Best New Brewery by USA Today in 2019, and the guys have never looked back. They have quite a few really great beers, and they have some pretty cool quotes. If you go to wildleap.com, you can read all about their brewery and their history and all the different beers. One of the best quotes on their website says, "If you don't do wild things when you're young, you'll have nothing to smile about when you're old." That's kind of a cool,
like it.
Yeah.
I like that.
So he brought me a barrel-aged stout called Lone Buffalo. Lone Buffalo is their barrel-aged stout that features hand-selected barrels that stand out with superior characteristics. They transfer and condition each single barrel in its own fermenter and hand bottle and label each one. The bottle we have is 13 ABV.
There's some controversy there because on the site it says the old 10.7, but this is handwritten on here is 13.9.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I know.
Yeah, that's a IBU of 35, SRM, which is the lighting characteristic of 45.
And this is bottle number 724 out of 1200. And it's been aged 18 months.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
This should be
yeah.
quite a good beer. I'm excited to give this a try.
And did you say this is a did you say this was a rye bourbon stout?
I did not. I didn't get there
So
yet.
maybe that's the difference of ABV, because on here it is the beer style rye bourbon barrel aged stout.
Yeah. I didn't get there. You were all over it, so
Love it.
So I'm pretty excited to give this a try. Friend of the pod, Jason.
Ooh, smells like 13.9%. 13.9%. There we go.
So that's what we got. We're gonna get wasted.
Yeah, you are. Jeez, I'm glad I didn't do.
We are sharing a bottle for everybody out there. We are sharing a bottle. We're not doing our own bottles here.
But it's not a small one.
It's a 500 milliliter.
I didn't say what size bottle. I just said a bottle.
It's like it's a 2-liter bottle. We're sharing it. It's fine. That's fine. I'm glad I didn't do my bourbon barrel aged super high alcohol content one too. Someone's got to stay driving this vehicle. Although I didn't go super low ABV, I have got. I don't think we've done this brewery, but sticking with going through my winter beers, I'm doing a winter ale by a brewery in Belgium. This is from the Val Dieu Brewery. And I don't think we've done them, right, Ron? I don't.
We've had Val Dieu beers, but I don't think we've had them on the pod.
I don't think so either. Yeah. I don't even know if I've had one in general.
Well, you know, it's what I saw it and thought, gosh, I feel like this is something we should have done, and I haven't. I snagged this one, and you know, I really hadn't looked up the Val Dieu Brewery. So, this is kind of interesting. So bear with me here. The brewery of Val Dieu, the beer of Val Dieu, is synonymous of quality and authenticity. It is the only Belgian abbey beer to be 100% brewed in a living abbey, such as the famous Belgian Trappist beers. The monks of the Abbey of Val Dieu are the ones who are at the origin of the beers which are brewed today on site. Historically, and forgive me, I think it's the Cistercian monks. Right?
Cistercian. Jesus.
Cistercian monks were famous for their qualities as brewers. The monks of Val Dieu are in line with this reputation. The development of this brewing activity was due initially to the fact, and this is where I thought you'd enjoy the history, Ron, and to the fact that water had to be boiled to be consumed, as illness as dysentery, cholera, and typhoid were prominent. During centuries, monks have studied the development of yeast in the fermentation process. They improved the process and production of beer by creating more and more sophisticated recipes. The beers brewed today in Val Dieu have been inspired by the original recipes developed by the monks. The beers are still produced with the typical process of second fermentation in the bottles. The beer is an authentic abbey beer produced without adding spices and brewed in accordance with the traditional process of infusion. The secrets of the beer are mainly in its water and its yeast. The yeast is very carefully kept and maintained in the abbey. The beer yeast is composed of microscopic mushrooms, which are very healthy. It contains a lot of vitamin C, mineral salts, and it's very powerful antioxidant. The beer of Val Dieu is a real craft beer, and its production lasts between 6 and 8 weeks. This is how we can reach this high level of alcohol, 6 for some of their blonde beer, up to 8 for their brown, and 9 for their triple beer. And also this very complex aroma, which is typical for the beer of Val Dieu. The water used for production of the beer comes from the Barrage de la Gilepe, probably said that wrong. Our region is famous for its springs of very high quality. Some springs of our region are known worldwide. Spa, Brew, and Chaux de Fontaine are located at only 20 to 30 kilometers from Val Dieu. And they make their Val Dieu blonde, their brown, their triple, which I feel like that's people what we've had, Ron. Their Grand Cru and their Christmas beer, which is a sparkling, amber, slightly sparkling beer, but that is not what I have. I have their winter ale. At least it's on the bottle. It's not called Christmas beer. It's called their winter ale. And the description for that is it is a Belgian strong dark ale, 7% ABV, warm amber yellow color with a fine white foam. Taste the haunting sweetness of selected spices and port wine and a highly pronounced aroma of yeast and malt.
Yum.
Nice.
So this is yeast up. It's, I don't know. It's cool to hear the little description of like their process and what they do. I just love when breweries do that kind of stuff.
That's
cool.
There's a really slick history book about beer. That is the times beer saved the world. And it goes through and it talks about the 4 different times that beer saved the human race. And it's really pretty interesting. So
that's cool.
If you're a beer nut, you should go look that up because it's a great book and it talks about having to boil water so that you could make the beer, but they didn't know it was killing all the bacteria while boiling it. So they always thought beer and alcohol was more healthy than water.
Yeah, these dudes are very crapping their brains out with dysentery. We're just hammered. We puke every now and then. We're fine.
It's awesome.
Sweet. Shall we do this?
Yeah, let's pour them up.
Let's do it up.
All right. Oh my gosh. Ron, this would make you miss brewing.
Yeah.
As soon as you pop it open, it smells like when we buy those vials of Belgian yeast, when you crack them open, like,
Yeah.
oh man, that smells awesome.
So this one is carbonated pretty well, but the head kind of vanishes like the head on a Coke.
Same as this one. If you look at it, it's quick. Like, it's not a ton of head retention. This is like lighter than I expected it to look.
Yeah.
It's not like that dark brown, like a double.
All right. And this one smells every bit of the 13.9% alcohol.
You ain't lying.
Dude, smelling the yeast that's in the bottom of this bottle. Oh, I want to go brew right now. It smells so good.
I feel like you could hold a match near the top of this and ignite it.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Watch, boys.
Oh.
Whoa.
Tell you what,
yeah.
This is for 13.9%. That is dangerously smooth.
Oh, you don't taste almost none of that alcohol.
Dangerously smooth.
No, you were saying the 9%er you had last week was strong.
Yeah. That one I could taste every bit of 9% in coffee. This one is wow.
This is super complex.
Smooth. You got a cocoa taste in there. You get
coffee. You get
cocoa.
A bit of like coconut, and then like some sort of caramel molasses at the end.
And that's what probably finishes it off to where you don't taste the 13.9%.
Ooh,
man, that is. This could go down fast, and it really should not go down fast.
True story. Wow.
This is just like very classic Belgian dark with just a little bit more malt and kind of more effervescent. It does have a little bit more like a champagne-y vibe on it. It's delicious.
Do you taste as much of the yeast as that's in the?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like the malt and the yeast. Like if another, if you're like, I got a malty and a hoppy beer, like this is that way, but with the yeast, which if you're not into Belgians, give them a go. Learn to love the yeast.
Love it.
Can we sell those t-shirts? Let's get those t-shirts.
Love the yeast.
Learn to love the yeast, the brutal game. We got that's a good one.
I do like that one.
I'm writing that down.
That's pretty good.
Oh man. Okay, we're gonna look those up. Make sure no one's selling those. All right. Before we get kicked off, Ron, can you give us the ceremonial quote from Mr. Roy Hodgson?
Oh boy, can I. So I found a new treasure trove of some of his. And it's just incredible. Like there's 70 of his quotes that I've never heard before.
They never get old.
All right. So my favorite one is, he has absolutely an impossible task to hit that ball the first time. Well, he just threw a pint glass into a shot glass. Astonishing.
That is also a good quote for the Brutal game.
Right?
Yes, it is.
I thought that was fitting, so I snagged that one.
Well,
Good one.
you know what? That's a good segue to Unbelievable, which is kind of the story of Ivan Toney. An 8-month ban from gambling, and he's back, and he comes back and he returns in a big way to Brentford. They outlast Nottingham Forest with a 3-2 win. Not only did Ivan Toney return from the field for Brentford after his 8-month ban for gambling offenses, but he also captained his bees against Nottingham Forest. And I think that's what was wild. He's back from a ban and he's a captain out the gate.
Yep.
And he even scored their first goal of the match via a free kick just outside of the box, thus shutting up anyone that made that choice to make him a captain, hero or zero kind of choice. Brentford eventually went on to win the match for what would be their first win following 5 losses in the league. But should Ivan Toney's free kick have counted after he moved the ball to the right just before his free kick when the referee wasn't looking?
No. I'll start it off right there. It was, as you said, it was sneaky, as the ref was like, it's like somebody which is weird because it wasn't his own team, but it was as if somebody in the wall was like, "Hey, ref, come over here, look over here, help us organize the wall a little bit." But like that's the defending team that's doing that. But the ref was so, turned around and trying to fix the wall there that when his back was turned, Toney moved the ball not once but twice to the right. And if you saw his free kick, it didn't go up and over the wall. It went around the wall. If that's moved, or I'm sorry, if that stayed where it was at, is he really rounding the wall that way? Probably not. So for me, that's why, no, it should not have counted. But the ref didn't see it. It's not VAR-able.
Which I think I kind of agree with Robbie Mustoe on the NBC Sports, right? Like VAR's purpose is to catch stuff that's clear and obvious errors. That's clear and obvious.
And they goal score.
Right.
It was a goal scoring.
Right. So why isn't that reviewable?
Agreed.
Because in the rules, all of the build up to a goal is reviewable.
Correct.
So why isn't that?
Yeah.
Correct.
And you know what? You review it once, no one will touch that ball again because, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you'll get busted. That being said, the GOAT, the Ballon d'Or winner, Messi's one of the kings at doing this crap too.
Oh my God.
Well,
with a little help from the MLS, but
fair enough. This was Ivan Toney's audition for the MLS in 4 years.
Right.
That's what this was.
I mean, he can probably gamble on the league. If he comes over here.
See, I guess I don't mind it counting, and this is why. I'll do the other side of your coin. VAR does enough, and I imagine a world where this could be VAR'd, where someone moves the ball but back into the same. I don't know. Like and they'll screw it up. I don't want them to.
Well, here's
they do enough. Like I don't even want them on it. And I mean, to be honest, it's pretty bad. None of the refs. He didn't do it slow or sneaky. I mean that no one saw it or was watching. It was going. It's pretty lame on the referees, I think.
An interesting thing is that I've been slowly looking through the rules from the FA and the Premier League, and I can't find anything that says that's against the rule, because it talks about why you would have a free kick, the types of free kicks, how to take them, all that. There's nothing about moving the ball after the referee has placed the spot.
Yeah, and even Ivan Toney kind of alluded to that in a way of you're allowed this I don't know where 1 yard came about, but this 1 yard on either side of the ball where you can move the ball.
Well, he made
Sounds
that
like
up
one of those.
it's not in the
correct, because it's not in the rule, right? That's exactly what I mean.
Otherwise, Robbie Mustoe and NBC and every other rule pundit in the world would be saying, "Well, you've got a yard."
Right.
Well, is this one of those like Major League Baseball, the unwritten rules thing, where Tony's actually right? Everybody's like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," but he's like, "Where? Show me the rule."
Right. You can't see the rule either direction.
Yeah. What is weird though is now we have we've had for many seasons the invisible spray, where the ref draws the little half circle around where you should place the ball, or where the ball is at. Right. He draws it around there. Clearly moves it probably 1.5 yards to 2 yards away from that circle.
Right.
Which, in my opinion, why this didn't count is it moves it. If you're putting the ball kind of in line with the wall, right? You move it 2 yards. Now it's no longer in line with the wall. It's at the edge of the wall. It's easier to curl that ball around, which is how he scored. So why it's not VAR-able, because it's a goal, regardless of how the goal was built up to. That's what I think needs to be looked at. I can't blame VAR right now because it's not their fault, because it's not in the rules and it's not VAR-able and it's not written in the rules. But I think this does now pose something, or it should, that this should be in the rules somehow, or VAR-able. Or what's the point of him drawing this thing on the ground and telling you, hey, the free kick should stay here?
Yeah, just put it where you like over here.
Right.
what about throw-ins?
Well, fair point. And in fairness, how many times have you seen a foul called, right? And a goalie or the defensive rolls the ball another 5 yards out to where they want to place it. Very rarely is it called back, or is somebody told, hey, scoot back on the throw, unless it's very egregious.
However, those are from normal stoppages of play, not a foul. Free kicks are given after a foul. So there is a specific location to that foul. So I don't think that argument stands.
Correct.
Because it's not a normal stoppage of play where the ball either went out behind for a goal kick or was thrown or was kicked out off the touchline.
Right. And you can't move the ball on a penalty kick.
Right.
You can't move it another yard and a half to the side. You can't do that. On a corner kick, it has to touch, the line there. So you can't move the ball too much further outside of that little, half circle there, because it's an open field. What do you do? But then it just looks weird when the ref draws the line there on the ground.
Right.
And in fairness, by the time anybody probably knew, or the ref even knew, the line was kind of gone.
Yeah.
So it's where was
players everywhere stamp that line out. It's like it's not even good shaving cream, right? Yeah. And they just sweep it to the side. And one other interesting thing to note is that VAR is able to review encroachment in the box on penalties.
Good point.
So if you can VAR that, why can't you VAR a direct free kick?
Fair point. You ask any of us, we actually know why that happens, because we don't.
But at the end of the day, I think it comes to what Ron said, of going, well, I was looking through there, but I can't find where's the rule that says you touch this. What would happen?
Right, or what your leeway is.
Do you have to do it again? What would happen?
Yeah.
Do we even know? I mean, I'm seriously.
I don't know.
No clue. Yeah.
So I feel like Ivan Toney just was like,
found a loophole,
you know what?
And
I'm back, and you're going to write a new rule for me next year.
But it looked sneaky, right? It was when the ref's back was turned. It was done kind of quick, and it resulted in a goal.
This right here that move alone leads me to believe Chelsea's going to sign him, because that's some dark art stuff, right? That's who's going to get him.
When did Chelsea get the dark arts label? I mean, there's
Diego Costa. Listen,
Chelsea embraced that. They probably win a lot more games. so they need to.
They want to bring the dark arts. They want to bring it back. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
There are plenty of other teams that are worse than Chelsea at the dark arts.
I mean, and listen, all in all, it's a good win for Brentford, as they lost, as we said, 5 in the league prior to this. Nottingham on a bit of a good run since Nuno Espirito Santo has rejoined the club. Toney's probably going to stay until the end of the season, as we talked on the last pod, and will probably help them secure that mid-table spot, not get any further down into a relegation battle with just his goal prowess and how he moves on and off the ball. If you do get a chance, and all the things that we've talked about, watch him as a center forward, as a striker. Watch his movement off the ball, how he places his body, how he holds the ball up, his run-ins behinds. He is tactically a very, very smart player, and one hell of a threat anywhere inside and outside of the box.
I do think anybody that snags him, you get the feeling it's a short-term gain. Like, it's starting off his scoring with sort of that kind of move. Do you just feel like, oh, he's gonna be a problem, right? Like, he's gonna be I don't know. I feel like wherever he ends up going after next year, he'll be awesome, and then he'll start to be a problem behind the scenes.
I don't know if that will necessarily be the case. I think Arsenal will probably sign him in the summer, right? Move on Jesus, move on Nketiah, and have a center forward pairing of Toney and Trossard, more than likely.
Yeah.
I think that Toney would add a lot to the Arsenal squad. I don't know if he'll become a problem, if he resorts back into any sort of back of house, if you will, or off the field stuff in terms of gambling and that sort of stuff. I believed didn't he, when he scored, he held up a shirt that said, like, this is for Uncle Joe or Uncle Sam, who actually had a parlay going on if Toney would score and get a card, but because he scored and did that, his parlay won. It's like, I was like, come on, that's.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I look it up a moment. I'm
That's
pretty
hilarious.
sure he held up a shirt that said something about his uncle, and I heard it reported on was BBC 5 Live that was, his uncle had a parlay bet going where he would score and get a card, and in that one score, and then taking off the shirt or showing the shirt, card for that, bingo.
So is that okay? I don't like.
It's not. I mean, it's not
Paris,
collusion at all.
You just made my argument when you were starting off trying to say that.
Yeah.
Like because that's what I mean. I don't know. Like, imagine if it is an Arsenal or a Chelsea who are like, hey, Arsenal, they're really trying to fight for something next year. And Chelsea, they're rebuilding the squad. Oh God, did you want to add this thing to it? I don't know. Like, I'm torn because the guy walks out and he scores not on a wrong play, but like
for Uncle Brian or for you, Uncle Brian.
But he grabbed this shirt from the crowd as part of the celebration. I don't know if this was his shirt, like it was planted, or it was just
I don't know.
really a grab from the crowd.
And please fact check me on that. But I could have sworn that is what I had heard on a podcast that I was listening to.
But if it is planted, doesn't matter. It still looks terrible. I mean, sorry, if it's not planted, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, we'll just see how he does the rest of the season. But I would be nervous. I think if a club's looking to sign him in the summer, it's different. You can kind of watch how the season plays. If you were trying to throw the crazy money to get him now, it would make me nervous.
I mean, everybody's so scared of FFP and the profit and sustainability rules. Like, no one's buying anything.
No. There's a couple of things Arsenal could do to sell right now. That may be, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think everybody's scared of the FFP. See, that's just like I said, if you did VAR, if you could VAR this, it would only happen once, like the FFP. Everyone's like, oh God. All right. It's like, it is the quietest transfer market right now. It's so quiet.
Yeah.
And it's all the 10 foil transfers are nothing. No one's doing anything. Okay. Shall we move on? Since we mentioned the possibility of where it could go, to segue us over to Arsenal. Arsenal smash Palace's. I thought you wrote this wrong.
I know. No, I wrote it correct.
Arsenal smash Palace's Crystals with a 5-0 win at the Emirates. That's good. I like that. Goals by center back Gabriel and an on goal. Who did it like was going to score that goal?
Oh, I don't remember.
And then ended up being an own goal instead. But Trossard and a brace at the end by Gabriel Martinelli never left Arsenal's return to winning ways for the first time in over a month in doubt. But near the end of the match, as Roy Hodgson looked onto the field of play with a set piece happening near the away end, Palace supporters brandished a wasted potential on and off the pitch. Weak decisions taking us backwards. While another stated, no shared vision, no structured plan, perish out, yanks out. And it did happen with that brace that was it like 120 seconds apart?
Near the end of the game. Yeah.
In garbage time. I mean, you hate it for a guy like Roy Hodgson. That's our question. Should time be up for Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace? I mean, how many times has this dude been asked this question that wasn't the year 2024? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he's been coaching for so long. Like,
I don't
know who Palace is getting that's a better pedigree than Roy Hodgson, even if they're having issues right now. Like,
yeah, and I don't know if I don't lay this all at the feet of Roy Hodgson's feet, if you will.
No.
And I don't know if the supporters necessarily do either. With the last line there of no structured plan, Parrish out, Yang's out. Parrish is like the GM of Palace and has been for years. There's some Americans involved there. So I do think Roy has been dealt a bad hand, if you will. Came back in again last season and helped to basically save their season and keep them from going into a relegation battle and ended the season quite well. Well, you lost your captain in the offseason to Turkey. Hell is that his name? I can see him as clear as day. But Zaha.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yep, you lost
Wilfried Zaha.
Michael Elise and Eze are damn good players. They don't stay fit all the time. They play on the wing. They're not, they're good goal scorers. They're good set piece players. They're talented players, but they don't stay fit all the time. Those are your two best. So then you start going down and then you look at midfield and defense and goalkeeping, and has the GM, has Parrish, has ownership really spent wisely on the pieces needed to build a team? Similar to a Brighton in a way, similar to a Brentford in a way, which are they're all shooting at the hip from the same, range there. I don't think you can. I think that's what the supporters are so upset about. And maybe it is Roy out to brandish some new style of play, to some more expansive style of play. But I think a part of that also is Parrish, who's been there for years, probably should go as well.
Well, if they yell at getting Yanks out, as the picture I just sent you guys, they're going to lose their cheerleaders.
Right?
Remember, they're the only Premier League club to still have cheerleaders. So, Ferris, I heard what you're saying, and you know what I'm going to say. What's the solution? You guys know. You know the math. You know what's going to happen.
Ted Lasso coaches Crystal Palace.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Jose Mourinho to Newcastle, Eddie Howe to Crystal Palace.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that would actually, I think, be a good fit. That's where he can thrive in that situation.
I still think Newcastle would be fun.
For Eddie Howe?
But back in London.
No. I'm saying Jose Mourinho to Newcastle, Eddie Howe to Crystal Palace.
Okay. I see what you're working with there. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Start on that to the pot there. Let's go.
That's entertaining. I think I sent you guys a quote from some report that I saw that likened Jose Mourinho to the Ring from Lord of the Rings.
Yep, he's the One Ring. Yep.
And I mean, you think about it, that's a great parallel.
Yep. And I could see it happen in Newcastle. And if I was Crystal Palace and Eddie Howe was free, I would pounce. Because I feel like that, like you said, something different, a different style of play. You could totally.
I don't know if he could get different styles. Well, yeah, no. With Howe, they would get a different style of play. Yeah, for them. I don't know if Newcastle would overly like a winning but much more boring Jose. That's
on a 3-year cycle,
right? I mean, I just. Listen, we almost a year ago to the date, Phil and I were at a Palace game. Brilliant atmosphere, awesome stadium, so much fun. I talked about that on the pod. Just a proper English experience in terms of what you can get. Just awesome match. It was a 1-1 draw, a beautiful free kick by I think Michael Elise, if I'm not mistaken. That it was a draw. But just a brilliant atmosphere, brilliant fans, inside and outside of the stadium. Awesome stadium to watch for your first ever time there in England. Just a brilliant experience. They got a lot really well going for them. Those fans want to see something enjoyable on the pitch. Almost akin to what a Fulham is doing. They may be up and down and at times, but they'll win 5-0 one week and then that has its own allure to it. It's at least exciting for them to watch.
At least it's competitive.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Like
and
they don't just get blown out. They don't just kind of roll over.
Yeah.
right? They're
No,
competitive.
they can look to the smallest club, and Luton Town is having more exciting and close games than Crystal Palace
Sure.
is having.
At least in the last, well, so far this season, this wasn't the hope going into the season for Palace. Based on what Roy did coming in to kind of save their season last year, when actually I think he came in just before Phil and I went to that game. Or no, Vieira was still there. So he came in after that. So he would have been. Roy would have come in either late January or February. But what he did to kind of turn their season around and save them, in terms of not getting too far into that relegation battle, there was kind of, let's say, high hopes, but strong hopes, and it started off okay. A few wins here, a few surprise draws here, being well played at home, but it just has not gone well. And yes, can you lose 5-0 to Arsenal at the Emirates? Yes. And on how they've been in the past few seasons, absolutely. I don't think that's an overly big shocker. But earlier in the week they got knocked out of the FA Cup in their return match with Everton, but substitutions were made in that the fans weren't really liking. Substitutions of Eze, Edouard, Klein, all kind of more forward attacking players when you're down in the tie. Not good sign. So I think that was kind of an overspill from an already frustrating season coming out of the winter games to them being knocked out of the FA Cup, where you can actually, maybe advance and go far, to then being smoke showed at a London rival team. I think fans are like, okay, this is starting to get enough.
What's the injury list look like for Crystal Palace?
I don't think it's super bad.
It's terrible. Yeah, I don't think it's terrible at the moment. But I mean,
they're a club that could totally get saved by Everton's point deductions.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, Eze will play 3 or 4 and then be out for 2 or 3. I think Michael Olise is injured right now, and that's the biggest name. But other than that, that's about it. No defense. Only Joe Ward on the defensive side is out because of injury. They got 2 former England goalkeepers on the books in terms of Sam Johnson and Dean Henderson. Rob Holding's also injured.
6. So 6 in total, including Decore, Saki, Holding, Ward, Michael Olise, and then Jordan Ayew is out on the AFCON.
Right. So
that's a...
But
those Holding, Decore, and Ayew alone are enough.
Sure, but they're in the league alone, their last 5 games, they've drawn 2, lost 2, and won 1. So, yeah, it was a 3-1 win over Brentford, but that's in the festive period where games are just coming quick and stuff. I don't...
Decore and Holding have been out since the 1st of December.
You're not missing a great deal with that, though. Decore more so than Holding.
Yeah,
just don't get a lot of goals for him.
Yeah. Tough.
How many goals have they scored this year? Where are they?
Give me a second.
Where are they sitting at?
They are sitting currently in 15th on a -12. They've only scored 22. Yeah. I mean, Man United have scored 2 more than them. I guess that's bad.
God, that puts that in perspective.
Right? But they've also conceded 34, so.
That's brutal. God, Sheffield's -34 goal difference. I guess I hadn't checked in a little while. Woof. Oh, man, that hurts to look at. Well, Crystal Palace got some issues. Let's recap the other 3 matches of Match Week 21 as we ask one question for each match in our 2-minute drill. Take us away, Ferris.
What a wild end to the Sheffield United and West Ham match. As following the 75th minute, there were 2 red cards, 2 penalty conversions, one by each team, including the latest goal in Premier League history by Oliver McBurney of Sheffield United in the 90th plus 12 minute of the match. But should West Ham have been awarded another penalty kick shortly after the latest goal ever scored?
I mean, just for our content purposes, I wish it had, but
wild one. Like 2 red cards like that. One for a clear tackle that was VAR'd and overturned from a yellow to a red. One, a double yellow picked up fairly quick and kind of stupid there by I don't remember right now, but I don't know. At first, I didn't think it was. Overlooking it again, maybe so, but I think it was so much borderline as is it a clear and obvious error to overturn on the field?
Yeah,
probably not.
And I'm assuming you're talking about the, like, it looks like there's a ball crossed into the box and the defender and the attacker kind of fall over together.
Yeah, but the defender more or less is giving the other guy a hug, kind of. Like, not like a bear hug, but like a, my arms are around you, I love you, you love me, Barney style, we're going to go down together.
Right. And
we've seen penalties given for less, and we've seen penalties not be given with more. It's so hard to like.
And it's hard because the only clip you see, you never see it from the coming together of the players. So was the defender looking, right? Like, if you were looking at the ball coming in and you're trying to make a play on the ball and then you turn and run into the attacker, it's not uncommon that you would try and save yourself or the attacker, right? So it's not necessarily like he bear hugged him and flung him to the ground WWF style, right?
This was more the attacks coming in, turn, run with the defender, not even watching the ball, not even knowing kind of what, but just trying to get in a position and kind of hold the player at bay. Then the ball, it was a lovely cross in.
Yeah.
I think the attacker didn't do himself any, I don't remember, I think it was Jared Bowen, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think he did himself any favors by going down fairly easy, almost looking for a call. But if it was called on the field, I don't think it would have been overturned. But since it wasn't called on the field, I don't think it would be overturned, you know?
Right. It might have taken Liverpool a half to get there, but forwards Darwin Núñez and substitute Diego Jota each bagged themselves a brace in the second half as they beat an informed Bournemouth 4-0 down on the South Coast. So no Salah, no problem.
I think no Salah, no problems down the road. Bournemouth have given them fits before in the past.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Sure.
Especially down there. Yeah, absolutely.
And also, Núñez, I mean, he is the most inconsistent goal scorer, I think, that's in the Premier League.
Yeah, but he is such an enigma because he's big, he's strong, he's fast. He has a good goal prowess.
He misses more. He's not consistent.
No, he's
right?
not. And that's what is probably so frustrating for Liverpool fans. Diego Jota, on the other, is your proverbial like six man who just comes off the bench whenever and just scores himself goals. It does better doing that than he does when he starts half the games. And yeah, what a brilliant finisher he is anywhere in the box. He is a poacher that is just a clean finisher. And Bournemouth just couldn't outlast the firepower. I mean, very good run in the past few games, but Liverpool, despite not having Salah, were just too much to.
And Salah's out for up to 30 days. Did I see that right? Like, what's the?
Yeah, he had a hamstring injury and came off in Egypt's either first or second match. So a bit of concern, but still unknown. Nothing completely solid on how long and where. But he is flying back to Liverpool to get that treated, and then could return to Egypt if they advance further in the AFCON.
21
They
to
had-
28 days.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was an update. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
28 days. Yeah.
But it's okay because Liverpool has staved off the Emperor Zerg. And so 28 days it'll take Zerg to come back.
And honestly, I can argue that Van Dijk would be more of a injury concern than.
Come on, that was hilarious.
That was
Neither
pretty
of
good.
the guys
I
liked
tried to.
it.
You get that was like a nerd alert that flew right over my head.
Really?
It's,
Yeah.
Come on, Toy Story, Pixar.
It's
Sir-
been. I was probably 1995 last time I watched that movie. I don't even know when they came out, but it probably came out about that.
And the reason to explain the joke then, God, what's the guy's name?
Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear's spacesuit looks like the Liverpool kit, like that green and white, and
Yeah. Okay.
and so every time I see it, I'm like, Liverpool's here to face off on Zerg.
We're way past the 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, we are.
Despite 72% possession by Brighton and Hove in the match on Monday night, they were held at bay by Wolverhampton as they shared the points in a 0-0 draw at the Amex. Better points for Wolves? Yeah.
Most definitely.
I mean, Brighton is no joke, and Wolves have struggled. So I mean, this is a good draw for them.
Wolves have been okay. They're not that far, honestly, from teams in the table.
They're in 11 right now. 29 points tied with Newcastle.
Yeah, so they're not bad. Brighton this year haven't been as consistent as they were last year. It seems like they just haven't quite had the goal scoring and had that consistency in play. They too have some players out for AFCON and the Asia Cup there. So yeah, I mean, good draw definitely for Wolves. Brighton kind of kicking themselves as they had a line share of the possession. All those stats and goal shots and shots on target, all that were pretty similar.
Yeah, they definitely are have given up their title to Brighton Hove this year's Aston Villa, and they have handed that over to them.
Sure.
All right, that gets us to halftime, where now it's time for the gnocchi ninja. What did you call him?
Oh,
That's perfect.
The guru of the gnocchi and the point deductor of the pig. There you go.
The financial guru of the gnocchi.
There we go for our Ron's beer news. All the news that's fit to drink.
The pasta?
Yeah, wasn't it like cheese in it and stuff? I don't know, it was.
Okay.
I can only use so many meat products in these things before I got to move on to a different food group. So we might go salads next. Don't you worry. I don't know.
Big Polish population here. You can get some good gnocchi up in this joint.
There you go.
Except gnocchi's Italian.
It is.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
Kielbasa?
I was thinking pierogies.
You're thinking
Pierogi. Samsonite. Wait.
I heard gnocchi.
which you've used before.
I have used pierogi before.
Yes.
I have.
Yeah, it's funny. You said gnocchi, and my brain was absolutely thinking of pierogies. Absolutely. Sorry, guys. Very cracker white dude from down south. My apologies.
Gentlemen, I have a relatively fast beer news today, but it's good news.
Okay.
Anchor Brewing Company, who has been in the news because last year their conglomerate owners, Sapporo Brewing, sold them off, citing essentially a mounting debt for the company. Allegedly, Anchor Brewing was losing about $1 million a year, and so they were sold off. They went into a special kind of bankruptcy court to be sold off, and people now, or groups now, are lining up to bid to buy Anchor Steam Brewing.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe?
And Ineos. But Ineos is only going to get the
25% of Anchor.
25%, and they're only worried about the canning operation.
No, fair enough.
None of the rest.
Correct.
So prospective buyers are lining up for their chance to buy Anchor Brewing Company, which is San Francisco brewing company that has been around for 127 years. Multiple bids for the Anchor's assets and the name are underway, with a winner supposedly expected to be chosen by the end of January. So
guys, I didn't want to tell you, but I got your social security numbers, and we're one of the bids.
I wouldn't be mad.
No, I would not be upset whatsoever.
It's okay. We wouldn't even report you for fraud.
Nah, no.
So the bidding process is a closed bid. So only the bidders and the company know what sort of bids have come in. Most of them are expected to be other conglomerates from the big beer companies. And there is one with a whole group of local San Francisco investors that are trying to save it as is, because the fear is a gigantic conglomerate is going to come in, buy it, chop it up for parts.
Yeah.
And basically, kind of spread it or move it, right? Because another interesting thing about this is a company can buy the IP and all the legal rights to brew, but leave the real estate. So the real estate could be sold off and developed as office complex, apartment complex, condos, whatever. And then a conglomerate could take the IP and brewing rights and move it somewhere else out of San Francisco, where it may be less expensive to brew. So there's a lot of craziness going on about the 14 alleged bids for the Anchor Steam Brewing IP and or real estate. So we expect here what's going to happen to Anchor Brewing Company at the end of this month. Today's the 23rd as we record this. So in about 7 days.
So when Jim Ratcliffe brings in loan players at the end of the transfer window, we should find out the fate of Anchor Brewing.
Yep. And I hope whatever happens to it, it goes into the custodians of it are going to be doing what's best for the brewing company, that amazing IP of beer, and for San Francisco.
Yeah, just buy it with all of that in mind. And how do you honor that in a way?
Right.
Yeah.
I think if you spend the money on just the IP, you're peeing your money away. Because I think if you don't,
money away.
There you go. I think if you don't have it's such a San Francisco thing that would just be weird. It'd be like, hey, I bought Brooklyn Brewery. I've set up in Omaha, but I bought the Brooklyn Brewery. I don't know.
Brooklyn, Nebraska.
Yeah, that seems weird to me. But I mean, stranger things have happened.
It's certainly possible, especially if you think the larger beer companies are constantly trying to find ways to, I won't say trick, but maybe accidentally mislead people into buying beer that's craft beer but owned by AB InBev, or like this is kind of a no-brainer that they would try to, right? Anchor Steam Brewing, it's a Michelob company,
yeah.
So who knows? But let's see what happens in another 7 to 10 days, and I'll come back and report. But hopefully, Anchor Steam comes back and is around another 127 years.
It is speaking of your excellent beer reporting. Do you have any update on the old pending strike of Anheuser-Busch breweries across?
The date hasn't come yet.
Yeah, when was that date again?
It's the end of January.
It's the same thing.
Same time.
Oh.
So all I know is that the talks are continuing, but February 29. not January 29. I apologize.
That's
February
right,
29
that's
because
right. The leap year. I remember.
This is the leap year.
Yep. I remember that now.
So we're supposed to find out in the beginning of March what's going to happen, and talks are, quote, ongoing. And also, they're not going to announce it. They're going to threaten a strike now, but they wouldn't actually announce a strike until it gets close to the end of the contract time so that it gives them leverage. If they strike now, there's no leverage. Right. So they're going to wait till, 2 hours before the walkout, and then they're just going to walk out.
The first quarter in the beer world going to be interesting.
Yeah, certainly. So there's the beer news that's fit to drink. Viva la Anchor Steam Brewing Company.
Just hoping.
Yeah. Keep it rolling. And we're back for some La Liga's Roundup.
Yo ho, it's the WSL life for me. On the Blake was not prepared for that one.
No, I wasn't. I was not.
On the weekend, Chelsea women once again beat Manchester United women by a scoreline of 3-1 at Stamford Bridge. And wouldn't you know it, but all three Blues goals came from former Man United player Lauren James, as she bags herself a hat trick over her former club. Not only does that win keep Chelsea in first, 3 points above Manchester City in the table so far this season, but manager and future U.S. women's national team manager Emma Hayes became the first woman to win the Football Writers Tribute Award this past weekend. She joins the likes of Jose Mourinho, Marcus Rashford, Vincent Kompany, Pele. There's a lot more, many more legends of the game to have won this award, but there's not been a female yet. So congrats to Emma Hayes, and a very good win by Chelsea, which has put heat on Mark Skinner at Manchester United.
I'm so excited for a couple of things in this. One, Sam Kerr is out for a bit with a knee injury.
I don't think we mentioned that yet. Yeah, terrible injury.
Which is completely tragic. However, in this moment, Lauren James can really take hold of this opportunity to put her name in an equal status with someone like Sam Kerr. And
well,
so
she's
far,
definitely started correctly.
Yeah.
And there was 20,000 at Stamford Bridge for this match.
Yeah.
And she took hold of it, scored a lovely hat trick. Man United fans, booing her and other things, which is, as you expect in a way. But yeah, she got the last little laugh in the end, and she scored in the 5th, 23rd, and 85th minute.
And then I think if you listen to our pod and you follow the women's game at all, you got to look at the career of Emma Hayes, because it's quite incredible. And she has done so much for the women's game in the UK and therefore globally because of her persistence to make the game better, more competitive, equal in terms of sports science information, facilities for the ladies to train at. And she's just been a great steward of football in general.
Yeah. And that big name signing that we didn't get for the U.S. men, we got for the U.S. women. That big star signing. And I'm really excited about this summer. And when she joins, I think in June, start of June, and then Olympics are in August or end of July there. What she can bring to the Olympic squad. I don't know if any of you guys watched the Netflix documentary that they just did on the U.S. women. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it was about the last World Cup.
I'm in the second episode right now.
Fantastic 3 or 4 part series. Really, really good. But one of the things I thought about while watching that and knowing kind of the fate of how that World Cup ended up and who's coming in to now lead that group, a young, promising group that's now being turned over a bit with no Rapinoe, no Ertz. Was Emma Hayes was watching that and knowing that what she can possibly do with this young, very, very talented squad. and how to kind of return them to the best in the world. And they are in a way still, but the rest of the world, as we've talked about so many times on this pod, has just caught up. And, Spain, England, Portugal, Japan, you can go on and on with the various programs that have just absolutely foot raced the U.S. and outdone them in so many ways. What she can bring, if she brings a quarter of what she brought to a dominant Chelsea team in that league, will be exciting to watch with what the U.S. has coming up in terms of the forwards, the defense, and everything in between for the U.S. women.
So strictly for Chelsea in the WSL, she has, out of 344 games, 244 wins, 41 draws, 59 losses. That's a winning percentage of 70.93%. She's crushing it.
We literally got the best. I don't think you could have done much.
Yeah,
better.
She's won the league 6 times. 2015, the 2017-2018 season, 19-20, 2021, 21-22, 22-23. She's won the WSL Spring Series once, the Women's FA Cup 5 times, the League Cup twice, and the Community Shield once. And this season, she's trying to add Champions League to her tally.
I should imagine you get some Champions League and some Olympic gold in the same year.
Oh, it is going to be hard without Sam Kerr for that Champions League, though. There are some very good teams in that thing. But yeah, excited to have her a part of the red, white, and blue from June.
Heck yeah.
Yo ho, it's the Bundesliga life for me. And on the weekend, Bayern Leverkusen win yet again at the death yet again in what it was a 3-2 victory over RB Leipzig. A goal in the 91st minute of play secured them that win. This win not only keeps Bayern Leverkusen undefeated, yes, undefeated on the season. They have not lost a game since June. So that's like since preseason. Unbelievable. But also moves them 7 points clear of Bayern Munich, as the German Giants surprisingly lost 1-0 to 13th place Werder Bremen on the weekend. Elsewhere in the league, third place Stuttgart is having themselves a fantastic year, lost as well as RB Leipzig, who are in fourth. And as we kind of talked about in the last pod, Borussia Dortmund, who are currently in fifth, beat Cologne 4-0. But as we talked about, Jadon Sancho played a big part in that as he earned aside a penalty for the second goal, and Donny Illen scored a brace. But the real question here is, can Bayern Leverkusen go undefeated for the remainder of the year? Keep in mind, they play Bayern on February 10th.
But keep in mind that Bayern Munich on February 10th, you can take the boy out of the Spurs, but you can't take the Spurs out of the boy.
Are you calling for a so Spursy loss?
Harry Kane freaking went to go get an easy trophy. And I don't think he's...
Do you know the other Spur that joined him?
Who?
His best mate, Eric Dyer.
Oh, yeah.
Is it official?
It is.
Oh, okay.
It is. And they're trying to get Kieran Trippier over there now. First bid declined today. No. Like the German Giants are going straight English.
What are they doing?
And they're going Tottenham. Okay.
We are well past World War II, ladies and gentlemen. This is
you
wild.
Say, can they go undefeated? Why not?
Listen, if any team in the top 5 or any league can go undefeated this season, they have as good a chance as any. Now, they have lost Victor Boniface, who's playing in AFCON right now. Big loss for them. Has scored a lot of goals for them. Has been the Bundesliga player of the month a few times. He is currently out for the next month or so until his team either wins or gets bumped from that tournament. So that's a loss. But they scratched two wins in a row here in very, very late goals. So in Fergie time, if you will. So we'll see what Jabby Alonso can do, because
I hope
they've
they
been
do.
impressive.
I hope they do, because you expect a team like Bayern Munich to have that kind of will they go undefeated stat, right?
Mhm.
But no one thought Leverkusen is gonna be able to
Not go
to do
undefeated or not
Right.
not be as good as they are. Now, I hope that
That's
he
like
does
saying-
as well.
Sorry, that's like saying, in what 2015, can the Foxes win the league?
Exactly.
Right.
And they are actually a little tired of hearing that from them. Be honest with you, a lot of the German media have compared them to that team
Sure.
of 2016. But I hope they do as well, because you know what? That means Xabi Alonso will be next coach of Liverpool, where he used to play, and Jurgen Klopp comes back to Dortmund and wins the Bundesliga title with Dortmund. I'm calling it right now.
You'll root for Klopp over Dortmund again?
I would take Klopp back at Dortmund in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
I think Ron and I would too.
I mean, when you're talking about unlikely scenarios, I mean, that's kind of the top of the list.
I know.
Well, where's Jose going? Is he going to go to Bayern Munich then instead?
No,
I just want to know, Jose. I heard he got an offer from Saudi Arabia, but I've heard other things too. God,
Well, he got one, I think in the summer as well. I think he's declined both.
Yeah.
I think,
despite everything, Jose has some morals to him in a way.
well, I think he's pouting and licking his wounds from the shock sacking that he got.
A break for him will probably do him good. Update on Jordan Henderson. Anybody see where he went?
Oh,
Did he go to Ajax? No.
Ajax,
yeah.
And it was, weirdly enough, a club where like Johan Cruyff played for and many, many other legends of the game played for. His jersey was the fastest selling jersey in club's history.
That's
What do we got? So the people that want out, he wanted out. Kareem Benzema wants out.
Yep.
A couple others.
There was a Roberto Firmino was talked
Oh,
about
Firmino.
there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. And we might have a quote from a Saudi league player in place of the Zlatan quote at the end of the month.
Did anyone see this coming that fast? Like that they would turn on the Saudi league. I love that almost every one of them has been like, my wife really hates the year.
right. That's obvious.
Well, duh. Did you not do any sort of like I don't know, just outside of football research? Just any football research. You're not playing for the same fans. You're not playing against the same competition. You're not on every outlet in world sports every game. Like the football side of thing is vastly, vastly different, let alone the lifestyle of you and your family.
But did they just go there for the payday?
Oh, 100%.
Well, sure.
And just come out and say that. And just
they were already people that had money. Let's be clear, right? So, like, I'm sure the guy, they're like, all this extra money. Oh, man. I mean, Jordan Henderson, like, what is it insane? Like, he barely is going to get paid anything out of his contract.
Yeah, because he has some weird tax thing. He deferred for, like, the first year and a half or so. It's weird. So he hasn't been paid, like, anything from them, but it's very weird. I'm sure the Athletic has some expansive, very in-depth article on it. But yeah, it's a very weird in terms of what his contract was and what he could and cannot get paid for it.
Insane.
Yo ho, it's the U.S. soccer life for me. And on Saturday, a very different, young, up-and-coming players with a lot of first cap players for the U.S. men's national team took on an also young Slovenia team in San Antonio. Slovenia walked away winners in this match with a 1-0 win. But all in all, it was a fairly good outing from so many just young first cap players for the U.S. men's national team. 11, to be exact, got their first cap, with all 11 playing their soccer in the good old US of A. And here we go. Diego Luna got his first cap, Real Salt Lake. I'm going to butcher some of these names, so I apologize ahead of time. Josh Antasio, Seattle Sounders, Bernard Kamungo, FC Dallas, Patrick Schulte, and Sean Zawalski, Columbus Crew, Timothy Tillman, LAFC, Brian White, Vancouver Whitecaps, or Vancouver Brian Whitecaps. Thank you. Azell Jackson, St. Louis City. Esmir Bajarak-Tarverovich.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Thank you. Jack McGlynn, Philadelphia Union, and our very own Duncan McGuire of Orlando City. Fresh with the blonde highlights now.
Went full boy band.
Like platinum. Yeah.
He and Janssen must share a bottle of hair dye.
Go down the old street to the EVS or Walgreens and get that homemade kit and do it themselves. And speaking of MLS, preseason for all clubs has officially begun, as all clubs, players, and staffs have reported for duty, with some clubs already playing a few preseason matches. Ron, you got a little update on a few preseason matches for us?
Oh, boy. I tell you, nothing makes me happier than watching Inter Messi get blanked by El Salvador 1-0.
And then get beat. By was it Colorado? No, it was another MLS team. FC Dallas. 1-0.
Yeah.
Speaking of Inter, gentlemen, who still live back in Orlando, what do you think about the new stadium name for Orlando City's stadium?
What's it, like Interco and Company or
yeah.
And just like Exploria, what the hell did they do?
Yeah, exactly. But that I think Ron's got it. Is it Interco? But everyone's so annoyed because
Inter and Co.
Inter and Co. So it gives the Inter Miami fans.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
You know what annoys me more about Inter Miami? Not only is how the hell they do all these weird deals, bringing in half of the like Barcelona team right now, but old Barcelona team, but MLS loves them some Inter Miami and Messi. But every other post of theirs is Luis Suarez takes the pitch for the first time in their Miami kits, and then an hour later, his first shot on goal. It's just like,
yeah,
geez, we're starting in preseason here. This is gonna be all freaking season long.
Yes, it is.
Like, come on,
yeah. Get ready. I think the interesting thing is there's rumor now that they're going to try and bring David De Gea in as the goalkeeper. And I really just don't understand financially how this is all working.
I don't understand how the league was like, we are not going to be a retirement league for Europe.
Well,
and
I mean,
that's the entire Inter team now.
I would submit that the MLS doesn't think those people are close to retirement.
What's the average age of Messi?
97.
Busquets, Alba, and Suarez. It has to be, 36?
Jack Wilshere still hasn't shown up to retire here at the MLS yet.
But I'm not saying anything illegal is being done because I don't know or have proof. But how is this actually working?
It's like Ivan Toney moving the ball. Is anything actually written to say that it's illegal? Probably not. But is it being done? Heck yeah, about every.
But we're talking about the same league that was like, Orlando, you can't have a club unless you build a stadium.
Yeah, right.
We've got a 65,000 person stadium. You have to build a soccer stadium. Great. New York City, you can play in Yankee Stadium. It's fine.
Still playing in Yankee Stadium, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're building their stadium.
Inter Miami didn't have a stadium to play in their first season.
No, they went to, so they tried to go for the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
That got rejected. So then they ended up moving to Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
Now they're building a soccer specific venue.
And there's a few other leagues that have come in that don't have soccer specific, or I'm sorry, a few other clubs that have come into the league that don't have soccer specific stadiums. Seattle Sounders, a very good example. One of the most storied clubs in MLS still doesn't have a soccer specific stadium, but because attendance, crowd, and yada yada yada, and they've won a bunch, we'll kind of overlook the fact that they just kind of fill that up. You know, it's weird. There's so many things with the MLS that don't make sense.
Right. And they look away.
I get it. Right. We're building the league. So you look away here, you look away there. But how some of these deals have come about, both in present and past, too. is questionable.
So within 2 weeks' time, I'll have an answer for you on all this.
Oh, yeah, because Ron's taking the dive down the...
Oh, yeah. I'm falling down to Miami.
And our new investigative reporter.
He's the financial guru of the...
I'm just tired of all this. So we've got to figure out what's actually happening. Because it certainly seems like everybody looks the other way when there's money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a perfect distraction, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if someone were to be doing something that is not necessarily perfectly pursuant to the rules, having it happen with all these star-studded players that are so beloved all around the world is the perfect way to do it. So I don't know that anything untoward is happening, but we should find out.
They're like a magician at a kid's birthday party. All the kids are watching there in amazement while the magician pulls a rabbit out of the hat but has it behind his back the entire time or something like that, you know?
Yeah, the parents are all like, wait a minute, I think
exactly.
I see,
You know, right?
like,
why does it smell like alcohol?
I can see the flowers underneath of your shirt sleeve there. Come on.
This is all just too convenient that they can spend all this money. What are they giving them all, franchise discounts?
Ron, I look forward to your report on inner MLS. What is it?
Intermessi.
Yeah. Financials here in the next few weeks. But also, speaking of American soccer in preseason, all NWSL clubs are reporting for duty as they begin their preseason training and matches. But unfortunately, U.S. Soccer and the NWSL have lost a absolute great one as Sam Mewis officially announced her retirement on Instagram over the past over Saturday and Sunday. But as she's been battling with just some terrible knee injuries and setbacks. The former UCLA Bruin, Western New York Flash, North Carolina Courage, Man City, and Kansas City Current player for her college and club play. And, of course, her 83 appearances for the U.S. Women's National Team over 70 years, where she bagged 24 goals and was an absolutely strong part of the midfield that helped us to win the 2019 World Cup winning squad. What a player Sam was. I've had the pleasure, and we all have, of seeing her play here in Orlando several different times. And one of my favorite games to ever attend was Portland and North Carolina Courage playing in the NWSL championship, and seeing her and Haran go up against each other was just brilliant. And obviously teammates on the U.S. side, awesome as well. So one Legends loss is another Legends gain, though, as Ron, you got an update on what she's doing next?
The U.S. Soccer 2020 Player of the Year, Sam Mewis, is going to join the Men in Blazers network.
She turned down our offer, which was disappointing. Yeah. But I'm glad she's taking her talents over to the Men in Blazers.
She is named as editor,
full time.
Yeah, editor-in-chief of, quote, The Women's Game, which is the new women's soccer portion of the Blazers Media Network.
I'm sorry, Ron. What was it during the World Cup this past summer? She did a lot of podcasts with them and was brilliant on some of those. That this is an awesome, exciting move for fans of the game because she saw the game brilliantly. She played the game brilliantly. She speaks about the game brilliantly. Very awesome, fun move that you're sad that you're not going to be able to see her on the pitch, but happy to hear her in your ears for hopefully years to come.
Yeah, and also to see how she can continue to help spread the women's game globally, right? Because in this new role, she gets to oversee this ambitious kind of new build to cover all aspects of the fastest growing global game from a women's sports standpoint. The NWSL, the all European competitions, and all the international play. That's awesome.
Is she launching or has already launched a podcast too?
So the first part of it is the podcast only, and then it's going to go into live game coverage and Twitch watch-alongs, and then
cool.
kind of a show similar to the Men in Blazers.
And on the 19th of January, so just 4 days ago, the Women's Game podcast from Men in Blazers dropped the first episode. So if you have not gotten a chance to download and listen to that episode, I'm looking at it right now on Apple Podcast, where the beautiful game can also be located.
Hey.
Give them a listen. Give us a listen. Everybody shares. You get one. Everybody gets one. Let's have fun.
Yeah, it's soccer all day long.
Right.
Yeah.
An interesting thing, along with this, U.S. women's national team star Lynn Williams will be the first member of what will amount to the global network covering the women's game in its entirety. The women's game will begin a weekly podcast. The first guests are Lindsay Horan, Barcelona and England star Lucy Bronze.
That's cool.
And then Christy Mewis will also be there.
Her just fresh off of her move to West Ham, and assisted a lovely goal off of I want to say a corner. Maybe it wasn't a corner, but man, if you saw the images circling online about the wind that was just swirling in that corner. Oh yeah, she fought the ball and fought the flag, and the ref had to hold the flag for her as the ball was rolling all over the place.
Yeah,
interesting. But
so Mewis was quoted as saying, "It's a sad moment to have to step away from playing the game that I love, but it's also incredibly exciting to be joining the team at the Men in Blazers Media Network and remaining so close to the sport. We've seen the explosive growth of the women's game, and there's a huge market for fans who want to follow not only what's happening in the U.S., but across the globe. I can't wait to see how this all works out."
And can you watch that podcast on YouTube? Is that what I'm saying? Or no?
Not yet.
No.
Okay. There's watch-alongs for the matches. Excuse me. Watch-alongs for the matches on Twitch, but the podcast is not video yet.
They did watch-alongs for the U.S. women's game on Twitch during the World Cup.
Correct.
And there's, I tell you, a lot of retired or their retired U.S. players for the women's game are kind of circling towards media and that route, as I don't, retirements haven't been fully announced by these two, but the recap show by Kristen Press and Tobin Heath, if you haven't given that to a listen, is very insightful and quite interesting. So a lot of American women's soccer podcast out there to certainly get into your ears.
It's awesome. Can't wait.
Well, and her show's already, it's going to rock. She was so good on the Men in Blazers. So, her stuff's going to be great. Gentlemen, does that wrap us up?
I think it does.
Does that get us where we need to be? Have we gotten this pod to the end?
We certainly have.
Our beer mentions are, I had the Valdieu Winter Ale, which is quite tasty.
We had the Lone Buffalo Barrel Aged Stout from Wild Leap Brewing from right around Atlanta, Georgia.
Ferris, do you have a Zlatan quote? No, you said you don't. Something different.
I do not for this pod. I do have a goat quote, if you will.
A goat quote.
Let me think of Goat Man or Goat Boy from Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo, that is CR7, was at the global soccer awards in Dubai on Friday, where Erling Haaland was crowned best men's player, which he probably should have actually won at the
Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, that award. Yeah. Jeez. Anyways, during an interview, they were going back and forth with Ronaldo, but when asked where Saudi soccer sits currently in the global landscape, Ronaldo replied, "The level right now, to be honest, I think the Saudi league is not worse than France's league, in my opinion. In the French league, I think you have 2 to 3 teams with a good level. In Saudi, I think it's more competitive. They can say what they want. This is just my opinion. I have played there for 1 year, so I know what I'm talking about. But I think right now, we are better than France's league.
Better than Uber Eats league.
Shots fired, and a lot of people, after this quote are saying, you fire those shots because of Messi.
Yeah, that's like exactly why those shots are being fired. Yeah,
I mean,
wait, he'll call MLS next time.
I mean, he was also quoted as saying that Erling Haaland should have won, all those things that Messi won. And
in fairness, all of us pretty much said the same thing.
Yep.
So, is your goat quote.
Your goat.
God,
quote.
if we have a new segment called goat quotes,
it's only making, like Sam, Muse, it's only making appearances to start, but it might go full time here.
We need a goat bleeding sound.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, exactly. One of the screaming goats.
Yeah. Right.
Well, if you enjoy our screaming goat jokes, please leave us a review on Brutal Game, or wherever you listen to us, on Apple Podcasts, all that jazz. The website's brutalgame.com. If you leave a review, drop us let us know, do a screen grab, something, drop us a line on Twitter or Gmail or however you want to get in touch with us, thebrutalgame@gmail.com.
Blake is called X right now. Thank you.
Or X-Zitter.
Blake.
Yeah.
Our website is thebrutalgame.com.
thebrutalgame.com. And the Gmail is thebrutalgame.com. thebrutalgame@gmail.com as well.
Yeah.
Listen to us, follow us, tell people that you love, tell your grandma to give us a listen. They think our show's adorable.
Nobody likes grandmas more than us.
Yeah.
Those guys are so sweet.
They're so sweet. They bleep their curses for me. Well, since I got a monk beer, I figure I should let you guys know. Do you know that when I was a kid that I really wanted to be a Gregorian monk?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I just never got the chance.
Nope.
Not good.
Nope.
Not
the chance.
good.
The chance.
It's good. It's good, but nope.
Not good. No.
All right, Ferris.
Yep.
Why? This isn't a joke. Why'd you do the Yo Ho Ho song?
No, to be honest with you, I wrote this content sitting here half an hour before I wrote the La Liga's content half an hour before the pod started right here. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I don't really know why. There was no purposeful reason as to why.
All right. Well, do you know that I was a Disney pirate at Tokyo Disney?
I am aware of that, yes.
All right. Well, on that note, love the beer, cherish the game. The beautiful game.
You killed the joke, whatever it was going to be.
Yo ho, oritachi kaizoku, koibito sagashi ni dekakeru zo, kowai mono wa nane wa nai no mo yoramushu, yo ho, oritachi kaizoku! Arigatou gozaimasu!